Hey, hi everybody. Sorry for the confusion. I'm actually really good at Zoom, but apparently the link, the info link that we use every year expired, which is interesting. It's something to learn from. So this is the seventh iteration of this program. So I guess that's something that we didn't get in our PD about Zoom is that a link would expire. But anyway, so we're recording it, and I'm monitoring the emails to see if anybody didn't get the last one. But I'm really glad that you showed up. My name's Eric Johnson. I'm a professor of multilingual education, and then Neve O'Leary, my dear colleague, is my partner in crime here, and she is going to be the one that helps with everything that has to do with the logistics. So she's here, and it's good to put a face with a name since you'll be working with her a lot, at least at first, like if you have questions. So we're recording it, and I will send this out to everybody again. But we can get going since it's recorded and make sure that everybody, I honor everybody's time. So tonight, first of all, like, welcome. This is, like I mentioned, the seventh cohort we've had for the competency-based program. And so I guess we got a little too relaxed and didn't check the Zoom policies, but nonetheless, okay, there we go. Okay, so I'll go ahead and share my screen. Um, we will make this recording available to everybody. I'll send it out just in case there's information that you didn't catch or if you wanted, to review it. Again, my name is Eric Johnson. Here's my contact info. Here's Neve's contact info. And honestly, the clunkiest part about this whole program is just the first steps, like getting going with it. After that, we've got it's a pretty good system. So it's a competency-based program, which is it's something different. And the way that endorsements work, obviously everybody went through a teacher prep program, but for any endorsement, your initial or an add-on endorsement like ELL and bilingual, you have to take coursework and then you have to take tests. And so what this program does is satisfies the requirement for the coursework, and we've been able to narrow it down and contour it around a practicing teacher's experiences. And first time we did it was pre-COVID, and I did it with the Pasco School District. It was in person, and we just had like 19 people. And it was really successful. So we opened it up and started, growing it to a couple districts. And I think the current cohort, which is going to be finishing here pretty in the next session, we have 15 school districts represented from around the state, which is really neat. And that's something that we didn't expect is to grow it to a point where we had multiple districts. But now I think in the sign up sheet, we have 19 different districts represented. And it's a really amazing way to get folks from across the state to share experiences and make those connections in a really efficient way. And so I'll send out this PowerPoint as well, along with the link, so you can click on everything. But so you can see the different competencies and how we structure it. So basically what we do is to meet course requirements, you have to hit all of these competencies. And in a traditional program, that's usually through multiple courses, like you all did with your, initial teacher certification stuff. But with the ELL endorsement, it's nice because there are specific competencies that we need to hit. And what we did is divide those up across 4 semesters, or we call them sections, in a 1 year span, so that we hit the information for each competency across that span. And I recognize that teachers with 2, 3, 4, 20 years of experiences don't need to take multiple classes to be able to connect their rich experiences to the endorsement competencies. And so what the idea is to see how your experiences connect with those competencies individually. So each session will focus on, 1 to 3 competencies, and I have assignments that are convenient in terms of it's not a regular, university course. So the assignments are based on having you record your applications to those competencies. And then across the 1 year span, at the end, when you go to take your test, you've got documentation of how you've met all those competencies. And so it makes it really efficient for going back and looking at how you did that. And we've had a really good success rate on for teachers passing the endorsement test. But on a bigger level, it's about this conversation around, where's the field moving and what are you doing, and the exchange of ideas. And there'll be a lot of things in here that stretch you to expand your thinking and to share your ideas. And so it's just worked out really well. We do everything on Zoom, and so it's accessible from remote locations. And we do it in a way that it's tailored around a practicing educator's, schedule. We've had superintendents, coaches, testing facilitators, also principals. I've had just every type of position represented here. So we try to be really accommodating to whatever your position is, and getting you, access to demonstrating those competencies and doing those assignments around your position. And then in the last session, which will be for you next May, that's where we hone in on like that, the test that you got to take. And I mean, there are other things that go on during that session, but there's a very thorough test prep process that I go through. And so like I said, this will be the 7th iteration of it, and I haven't had anybody not be able to pass that endorsement exam. So that said, I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what it looks like. And some of you might want to take a traditional route, and that's we're open to whatever. And it doesn't have to be with us, but any accredited university. But for WSU, we do semesters, which it's different than quarters, right? So we have a fall and a spring semester, and then we have a summer. You can call it semester quarter. So we have 2 semesters in the year. Quarters are 3. So these credits might not map on to what you're used to. So 3 credits in a semester is like 5 credits in a quarter system, because our semesters are longer, and we only have 2. But anyway, so you can see, like, if you're interested in taking a traditional route, WSU does 18 credits, which is 6 classes. And you can see the courses that we offer here. And they're great, but they're traditional courses, right? And so there's, the textbooks and traditional assignments and that kind of stuff. And then the cost is, most of the emails I've received have been about the cost. So a traditional semester, program would be 18 credits. And right now, oh, I should have put this at 610. So it's $610 per credit. So shoot, I thought I did that. But nonetheless, the math is right. It's about $11,000 for a traditional route. The route that we've done, I've narrowed it down to 8 credits, and I've front loaded it with, in that first summer, you take 3, and that's like sets the stage for the rest of the year. And then in the fall, you take 1 credit, spring, you take 1 credit, and then the final section would be 3 credits. And so it's a total of 8, and it's under $5,000, which is, half essentially. Now, I mean, there might be some other administrative costs in here, but it's roughly about that cost, okay, for those who inquired. And so it's been cost effective. Some districts will reimburse for it. You might be in a district that'll pay up front. And if that's your case, email me, offline. And I work with the district, like usually Title III TVIP folks and who pay tuition. But some districts reimburse, others pay outright. But it's been a really cost effective way for teachers to get this endorsement. And then in here, I have our link to the current tuition rates, and you're paying per credit as an undergraduate. That's another thing that we did is make sure that we did it at the undergraduate level because the fees or the cost is a little more affordable. So for the way that the course is mapped out, the at least the first session. So we have to have contact time to meet accreditation. And so the way that I do it is we'll meet every week, Tuesday and Thursday. But Tuesdays are face to face. And so we meet on Zoom and it's 4:30 to 7:30. So those who have to teach summer school or whatever other obligations you might have, we do it in the evening to make it more convenient. And then the Thursday courses are asynchronous, and I design activities that are engaging in terms of instead of being face to face, you'll post a video, respond to each other, and that kind of thing. So we still get face to face time, it's just spread out. And the way that I do it, it's not all on, for example, June 19th, it's not all on that day. I spread out the discussions throughout the weekend. So essentially, you're only meeting on Tuesdays. And those discussions are usually super engaging and, we can field any questions you might have. The other thing about Zoom is you can access it from wherever you are. And like, for example, last summer I had a guy that was, man, he was in Thailand the whole summer, but he was able to access it and participate. And so it's once a week that we want you to be there. And that's usually the one that teachers are most focused on is it's your summer. What's the time commitment? The asynchronous part, you can do it at any time of the day. And like I said, I spread it out over a few days in terms of the interactions. And so I've received really good feedback about that format across the last 6 years. And it's unlike tonight, I'll give you a different Zoom link, a unique one. And so it will work, and it's all through our Canvas learning system, which I'll give an example of what that looks like. So for those that were asking about what's the time commitment, do you have to be there because I know it seems like a lot when you see Tuesday, Thursday. Really, it's 3 hours a week, so it's 6 meetings. Now this represents WSU. So WSU in the summer has 12 weeks of a summer semester. It's a session, but we divide it into two chunks. So this group will start in the second chunk. The first session for WSU is like May through mid-June. And I intentionally started this one in the second 6-week session because most schools are done, right? So school's out the week before. Even if you extend into that week, it's still in the evening. But most school districts are done by mid-June, and so that's been very helpful in terms of the feedback that I've received. So this is the same schedule that was on the flyer that was sent around. And there are no books. I provide all of the readings, and there aren't a lot. I respect everybody's summertime, And so we do some short readings, and then we'll do reflections and interactions, and everything is packaged there for you, so you don't have to buy textbooks. I'll provide resources in case anybody wants to, explore other resources, um, but yeah, so that will be the schedule for the first session. After that, it's really smooth. Okay, it's just getting into the first session that the participants um, need to be able to get an understanding of the program. Now, the next section will be in the fall semester, and our fall runs from mid-August to December. And this one is we do in the fall, we do just one credit. And so we'll meet just 3 times. We'll meet once in September, once in October, and once in November. I have assignments that you do that are embedded within your professional contexts. And so when we meet, then we share out what you've been doing, student work or different activities that I have you do with students. And it's a time to celebrate how you're applying these different competencies, which is it. These are my favorite because you get to see real, like, what's going on in your setting. And but all along this path, I have these assignments that are connected to the endorsement competencies. And so it's the same thing in section 3 in the spring. And then in the last section, which is going to be in May through mid-June, we don't actually have like the 6 meetings. We'll only meet 4 times. And I have other embedded activities that you do that engage you with, colleagues and stuff. And actually, the fourth class meeting is optional because that's where I have a pretty rigorous test preparation process that you go through you take a practice test for the endorsement exam, and then you will come back, and if you need help, like if there were things that you didn't understand, then you can meet. So a lot of the students go through and they're good. They take that practice exam and the evaluation format that I have, and if they're ready to go, they're ready to go. So yeah, it's a very efficient way of going about it. Now the other thing is that we'll meet on Fridays. That's the most convenient. I mean, I like Fridays too, but it's the most convenient for us to meet in terms of, different activities that happen throughout the week. And most of the teachers can make it. Um, I've had a couple that were like, I don't know, in the fall they had to miss because they were doing the football game. They were the PA announcer or something, but we try to make it as meaningful as possible for you to be able to make those connections, make it convenient for your schedule, and guide you through that process while introducing, I try to introduce more current and innovative approaches, and learn from everybody that's in the group and the innovative things that you're doing. So it's not a test prep program the whole year. That last one we will, but it's about what's going on in the current state of multilingual ed and how you can make connections between what you're doing, what these testing requirements are, but a bigger professional development opportunity to really enhance what you do and help others enhance what they do. And so yeah, it's really convenient, and at least the feedback that we've received over the past few years. Now, there's another option. So the ELL endorsement is that's the base here. So the ELL endorsement obviously is a credential that indicates that you can teach students from any language background while you're teaching in English. There's a bilingual education endorsement component that we also offer. But in the current state of multilingual education, as many of you are aware, these aren't two different things. And so I braid these in throughout, right? So if you're in a dual language situation, if you might be teaching in another language, right? And if you do, like you can turn your assignments in Spanish or Russian. I've even had teachers turn their stuff in Russian. I don't speak Russian, I speak Spanish. But there is an option once you finish with these 4 sections. If you would like to pursue your bilingual education endorsement, then we offer an additional class, which overlaps with the same, like your initial course is in WSU's second summer session. And so I don't have you take it at that time. You would take the first summer in this summer in June through July, and then the fall semester, spring semester, and then end in our first summer session. Those who are bilingual are able to take the additional course to be recommended by WSU for your bilingual education endorsement. And that class is like I said, it's in that second session. So it would be like a 5th session for you, but and that one it's conducted in Spanish. I teach it myself. Everything's in Spanish, so not that we're singling out Spanish as a the only language that's eligible. If you speak another language and you're interested in pursuing that bilingual ed endorsement to be recommended by WSU, just let me know. And I'm open to working with you on how to do that. Okay, so like I said, I don't speak Russian, but I have ways of having students take that course. It's a traditional course, so I have graduate students, undergraduate students, and then teachers in this program. But that's just for the bilingual ed one. So it'd just be like one extra step. Um, and we usually get 4 or 5 each year that do that. So, but yeah. Uh, Now, if you are interested in pursuing the program, and this is where Neve has been instrumental, we have a real, a very structured way of going through it, because you will be considered as WSU students, okay? And so you're going to have to apply to WSU as a non-degree seeking student, and I'll explain that in a minute. Then you have to, once you're accepted, you have to enroll in the course, and then you have to have all of your email stuff and passwords to be able to access the course learning platform, which is called Canvas. And here is, let's see if it'll open.
I'll put the link in the chat too.
Yeah, go ahead and put that. So for those who are interested, this is the link, and I'll send everything out. And then for those who aren't interested, just delete your name off the roster. So here's the roster that everybody, the Google Doc roster, right? And so I have everybody's email. If this isn't for you, just go ahead and erase your name so you don't keep getting emails, and we will remind you. Okay, so I use it's a text remind system. A lot of you probably heard of it. It's actually called Remind. It's just so it's not part of WSU, but it allows me to just send text message blasts. It's like Class Dojo or whatever. Not as sophisticated as Dojo, but so that you can do that right now. I already set it up. And I can send reminders, and especially once we get into the year, it's helpful. So I can say, hey, remember we got class coming up or whatever. But here are the more technical aspects. So we named them task 1, task 2. So for task 3, you're going to have to apply to WSU. And this is where it does get technical. And this is why I adore Neve, because she put together these step-by-step instructions on how to do it. It's just like anything, like you tell your students, write down any password or anything you you use, write it down, just to make sure you got it. But you need to make sure that you're applying for summer. You have to do the right like undergraduate status, the right campus. So WSU is a very unique university in the whole country. Like we have multiple campuses, but we're one university. But you still have to indicate that you're applying through the Tri-Cities campus. All right, because you don't want to pay, fees for Pullman or whatever. So just make sure you're following all of these instructions. She's got great screenshots on how to do all of this. Um, I just, Neva, can't tell you how much I appreciate the thoroughness of all of that. So that's gonna
Problem.
that's going to be task 3. So then you apply. Now here's the trick is that we want you to do that soon, right? So don't do it now, no later than the 15th of April. So you've got a few days, but it's not that big a deal. I don't know what the application fee is. It's probably
It's
around 50.
35, it's $35, non-refundable application fee, $35.
Yeah, and you're in a special status because you're a non-degree seeking status. I think regular students it's 75, but so make sure you do all that. Just follow this. If you have questions, I mean, Neve's amazing.
Yeah, I can help. Yeah.
She'll help. I also have one of our admissions counselors, their information's right here. And since we've been doing this program for multiple years, that they're familiar with the uniqueness of the situation. Okay. So you apply, then it'll take a week, maybe 2. I mean, you just be patient, and WSU will send you to Neve, is it to their WSU email or is it to their personal email?
Well, that's a great question. So let's say you're going through task 3, you're applying for admission, you press submit and you pay the $35 non-refundable application fee. As you're reading the instructions here on the Padlet, you'll see what things to expect. Before you are admitted to WSU, you're going to start getting some emails. One is about setting up your WSU email account and your multi-factor authentication and so on. So you'll be getting some communications, and I include those and kind of walk you through what to expect. So it's a little bit of drip, drip, drip over the course of approximately 10 business days, which is 2 weeks. And then eventually you get an email saying, hey, you're being offered admission for summer 2025. And at that point, you're going to have to log in to accept that offer of admission. There's another database that I mentioned in there called Future Coug. You log into that with the credentials you use to set up the application. So it's kind of, for a while there, you have the email and password you use to set up the application. Usually it's your Gmail account or whatever email is going to reach you. And then you'll get information on how to set up your WSU credentials. For a while, you'll kind of be using both, but once you're firmly into the program, you'll be trying to actually enroll in a course and so on. That will all be WSU credentials.
Yeah, and WSU is pretty sticky about once you're admitted and everything's cool, they just use the WSU email system. And that's why I like to use this remind system because it's off like I can say, hey, remember to do this. And because it's like another email account you got to check unless you can integrate it, which I suggest.
Yeah.
Um,
Like all emails, some people they just set it up to forward to their primary email. So you get the WSU emails without kind of a separate log on every time. So whatever you need to do, but WSU will only communicate with you through your WSU email. They will not go looking for you on Gmail or come knocking on your door.
Right. And I mean, that's a security issue that has come up in the last few years. But again, that's why I try to use that other system like, hey, remember to do this, make sure you're doing that. But here's the tricky part. Once you're offered admission, you have to accept, say, yes, I will attend. Once you do that, then you can go into task 4, which is enrolling in the first course. And again, Neve did an amazing job of outlining how to enroll. Okay, Neve, I added a highlight here. But so this is the hardest part in my experience, because here, let me go to schedule classes. This is why I record everything. Okay, so I know that everybody comes from many different universities. So our number is going to be teaching and learning 497. It's a general number that we use for all 4 sections. Okay. Now, if you look at this one, you'll see that we have ELL endorsement section 4. That's for the group that's going through now. So they will end in that they'll end in May and June. You all need to apply for the second section. It'll say ELL endorsement section 1. And we understand, like last year there were I don't know, the current group's like 40 people. 2 or 3 applied for or enrolled in the first section because it's confusing. We get it. Okay, so if there's any confusion, let us know. This is the hardest part. After this, it's easy because there's only one available. All right. And so just make sure you're enrolling in the second section, and then it's mid-June through the end of July, and you'll be okay. And just look for ELL endorsement section 1. If not, you're going to be in this one, and then it's just a little clunky. But I mean, we can, if that happens, just let us know. Because the first year I did it, I sat down with students and tried to enroll, and I was confused. I mean, things have gotten better since 2019, but so
And
I
we'd really encourage you just to reach out to me, and my email address is all over the materials. But do you know, I spend the whole day trying to help students apply and get admitted and enroll, and we talk on the phone, we go back and forth on email, or we set up a Zoom session where you can share your screen so I can see what it looks like when you're logged in. So we just keep on going till you are where you're supposed to be.
Yes, she's an expert. We've been doing this for many years. And so I don't have the inside view of what it looks like to go through it now because it's changed, but Neve will make sure you are dialed in for sure. And so that's this Padlet. I think I have it locked, but don't erase anything or edit anything. Just follow these steps. And then ultimately, after you're enrolled, then you will have access to the Canvas system. And that's our online learning platform where I post all the readings, you submit your stuff. I mean, I could actually probably just pull it up. So so the current cohort is in their they're in the spring semester. And so you'll see something like this, and I have it really well organized where you'll have the syllabus, the links, and then depending on the class, right? But day 1, day 2, right? So it's super organized so that we appreciate that you have all of these things going on in your life and that this isn't the main thing. The syllabus, I always include a very detailed calendar, and I color code like Zoom sessions. And so assignments are due, but I tell you when we're going to meet, when things are due, and just really try to make it convenient for you to understand what the expectations are and guide you through that. As we get through the year, I won't be sending as many remind messages that you'll sign up for here. But you can always, shoot me a message on that system too. But yeah, I mean, it's other than the Zoom link faux pas or whatever happened tonight, it's been really smooth. This is the first year we haven't had to make, structural changes, but no, just super excited. Like I said, last year we had 100 people signed up, and then ultimately 40, so I gauge about half. So we had about 40, and then but 15 different districts. And this time there's 19 different districts. So I think it's super neat when we get such a geographical, spread of different voices. And yeah, like then you're in the system. And our endorsement coordinator has a form, an easy online form that, that's one of our assignments. You just put your name and, that you're taking this. And so she tracks you through the process. And then when you finish and you pass the test, it automatically goes to WSU and we process it. And so it's been rewarding to work with the groups in the past. But
Yeah. And if I could, Eric, could I say one more thing just about
absolutely.
the application and enrollment process? Just one more thing. It might be obvious from what we've said already, but it's not the kind of thing where you can sit down one night with your laptop and apply and get admitted and be in the course all the same night.
Yeah.
You're going to have to touch this different times while you wait for the databases to move you along. So that's why we're trying to get people to start the application sooner rather than later, although we continue to accept students who are applying as long as we have space in the program, all the way up to as late as we can, with the program starting mid-June. But there are going to be breaks in your work because of the way the application system works. You can't proceed on to the next step until the database digests you and kind of spits you out into another part. So that is why, just kind of starting early, getting what you can get done, and then you kind of have to wait. You get a notification that you could do the next thing, kind of have to wait some more, and you move forward.
Yeah, and that's another thing is, I mean, everybody here's gone through whatever semester or quarter. Like if fall quarter or fall semester starts at, September 1st or whatever, that's the deadline. Here it's interesting because with this program, we don't start until the second half of summer, but get like apply now because once our semester ends the beginning of May, which means like May 5th, I think summer starts, or May 7th. Then if you're applying, it's like, well, you've already applied after the semester starts because
Yeah, but
WSU sees.
actually, for non-degree seeking students, Eric, that does not pose a problem. For degree seeking students, that is a real complication. But one thing in the favor of non-degree seeking students like this cohort, that doesn't usually throw out a problem. Fingers crossed.
Well,
Yeah.
it has, and the first part, I mean, the last couple of years, it's some stragglers or whatever we've been able to, but every year there's somebody that's like, oh, my stuff's still processing, and then
Yep.
they can't
Yep.
access Canvas, and it's
Yep.
like, so just do it now, just apply now, and you're good. And I guess that's my point. So it minimizes the triages that we got to do in the beginning of the summer. And like again, we recognize you all are on the K-12 calendar, and so just to know that it's a little different, like just get it done now and you're good to go. Okay. But yeah, it's been a great program. We've got over, I think, almost 50 signed up, this year. So hopefully we get everybody, that's interested, and can start the really cool conversations. And the assignments aren't taxing. They're not going to take you away from all your family time. And I'm really intentional about embedding it in your practice and not burying you with busy work and getting you to glean all that information through the interactions and the conversations and in the minimal assignments that we do. So yeah, I'm really happy that everybody, especially now the budget cuts, I was concerned, but everybody that's been emailing me and asking for whatever information, and so I hope that everybody gets excited about it. Yeah, so with that, are there any questions that we can field?
Eric, I have a question. My name is Lisa,
Hi,
and
Lisa.
I'm here in Kennewick, and I have an email from our district, and we can get into the how much is it cost and all of that. But I thought I heard you say $4,880. Is that right?
Well, here, let me share my screen again. Yeah, and I guess I didn't like I live in Pasco, and so I've
Yeah.
worked with Pasco and Kennewick districts like intensively over the. So yeah, and I put this slide up,
Yep.
um, and I'm hedging because I say approximately, but
Yeah.
it's $610 a credit. So let me show you what that looks like on our. That's why, and also this is why it's important to apply to the Tri-Cities campus
Yep.
because Pullman has their rec center and the stadium fee and the whatever, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look at per credit charge up to 10 credits, it's $610. Now,
Okay.
there and Neve, I don't deal with this side, but there might be $5 for a library fee,
I
or
think there are some prorated fees. Yeah, yeah, I can't come up
it's
with
not going to be like another $300 or something.
yeah, yeah.
It's right, it's close. And so you know, when I put this up and I say approximately, that's why I said, well, calculate 5 grand,
Yep.
right? But you don't have to pay it up front. Okay. And that's another, I'm glad you mentioned this, Lisa. Thank you. So you pay per semester. So the summer's 3 credits, and then the fall and the spring are 1 credit. And so that's if you look at that, that's 610, let's say 700.
Yep.
I don't know. But so it's not going to be this huge like credit card bill right at the front end.
Sure.
Okay. So that helps. And I work closely with the Title III bilingual ed coordinator in Kennewick. I know her very well. And so she's been
Yes.
doing this multiple years and they're used to it. Other districts, they don't so Kennewick reimburses, right? Other districts don't. And so usually if your district will reimburse you through Title III or TVIP state money, you've got to finish the class. Then when you get your final grade, you show them you passed it, submit that, and then they do a reimbursement.
Okay.
This last year we had 3 districts that paid up front. That's a little trickier, but so if anybody's in a situation where your district wants to pay tuition up front for you, I need to know that because I have to I facilitate that. And our campus cashier works with your district and all that. But reimbursement is pretty easy. Like you pass the class, submit your stuff, and they reimburse you.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Yeah, absolutely. That's usually the main question I get is how much does it cost? Who's going to pay it? Like, so
Yeah. Well, I've got 3 kids in Pullman, so I'm just trying to make sure.
yeah, well, your tuition will be much less.
Perfect.
And you're already paying rent and bills. Like so. Yeah. Any other that's a great question. Any other questions? Again, once you're in our program, then we connect you with our endorsement office. They keep track of your progress because this is a very non-traditional way of getting an endorsement, but they're very used to it by now and they're amazing. And so at the end, when you pass your test, when you apply to take your WestE, you'll say that your university is WSU. That hurts some folks that went to UW, I get it. But for the purpose of this program, you indicate WSU. Then when you pass your test, the OSPI automatically communicates with WSU. We say, yes, they did it. And it's a pretty seamless process. So if you went to Gonzaga or whatever, Eastern or Central, don't put that, right? And we'll walk you through that. That's not till the fall that I have people do that stuff. So Okay, any other questions? Anything else, Neve, you can think that we
No,
might have overlooked?
no, just a reminder, just encouraging you to not be at all shy about reaching out if you're starting to get your application in and you're having questions or having issues of any kind. Definitely, between myself and Abigail, we will definitely make it work for you.
Yeah, we try to make it as smooth as possible so that once the courses start, we can get into the meat of it, right? And have some really cool discussions. So I will send this out to the recording to everybody. I'll send that Padlet link out, which has everybody's, needs and Abigail's and mine, everybody's information. And you can also follow up with me, individually if you've got something going on that you need help with. But other than that, really happy that we had, a good group show up and good questions. So Neve and I will hang out for a few minutes. I'll push stop on the recording.